What's going on, everyone? This is Matt, Squeaky Clean Air, and today we're going to be doing an oil change using an extractor on my 2018 Golf GTI Mark 7.5. Stay tuned. Alright, so we got our kit from AM Tuning. I love these guys. These guys always take good care of me. It comes with a man filter, which is OEM replacement. And I opted out for their liquid moly 5W40 motor oil. Only the best for the GTI. And here it is. I'm going to bring out the extractor that I like to use. And I'm going to show you guys how I set it up in order for it to extract the oil. I don't like to do it from the bottom and change the plug. I've been using an extractor on all my GTIs and on all the Mark 7s, or for a while now, and there's been proven tests to show that it's just a more superior, easier way to change oil without having too much of an impact on the engine. And what I do is I usually change my oil every 5,000 kilometers. So if I increase the oil changing cycle, just because I do it myself using an extractor, then it doesn't take a lot of time, and it's quick and easy. So why not up the actual cycle of changing the oil so the car is always running fresh oil? That also prevents from having a lot of issues and making sure that the oil is always fresh and clean. So that's what I've done. But big shout out to AM Tuning. I opted out for their 5W40 liquid moly kit. Check out their website for pricing, and we're gonna get this puppy done, get it ready for winter. Okay, so the extractor I like to use is the John Doe Industries. I don't get any kickbacks from this, but it's a higher quality extractor and works a little bit different than the pumping style extractor. This one is charged using air. So there's my air supply right there from my spool, my main air supply compressor. It goes, and then what happens is basically you charge it up, or you pressurize the vessel, and the vessel, based on the pressure, will extract from the chamber over here. So basically, in my particular case, I got to remove the top for the Mark 7, the engine cover right there, remove the dipstick, and this kit comes with a whole bunch of different sort of wands, and these wands are the ones that go in through the actual dipstick. Those familiar with extractors, this is how this one's going to work. So in my particular case, there's a bushing attachment, which is sort of like right here, and what happens is you put that through onto the right here, and it seals, the o-ring seals nicely, so that gives you sort of basis. And then to that, we're going to use one of these guys, which will extend all the way down to the oil pan and essentially allow you to extract the oil into the extractor. So feed it through, it goes through up until you can't feed it anymore, and it kind of sits like that. And the actual extractant part, which is right here, will sit onto here and extract the oil. But the way this extractor works is it's pressurized, or using air. So what happens is this is connected to my air supply. Now I'm going to look at the gauge to make sure that it's fully pressurized. So open this up. So now that it's fully pressurized, we got the working pressure. So the vessel is pressurized. I have it all connected up into the extraction hose right here, going into the ports right there. So now what's going to happen is when I open the pressure up, this is obviously open because we want to be able to purge it into the vessel. The pressure that's in here will create a vacuum, and that vacuum will extract the oil from the oil pan, and it'll start depositing right in here, and you will be able to see it. So what I usually do is I let it sit for about an hour, basically turn it on, let it extract, and come back in about an hour and check the pressure. But what's going to happen is once all the vacuum and all the oil is pulled out from the actual oil pan, you're going to see that the working pressure is going to decrease down all the way down to zero. That's how you know that all the oil has been extracted from the oil pan. So it's a very simple operation. Now that everything's extracted, just going to open this up to give it an ability to extract through, and go inside and chill for an hour and until everything's done. So here we go. So eventually what happens, as you guys can kind of see, the oil starts to get extracted, and then as it goes through the tube, it's kind of a cool visual look. As it goes through the tube, you can hear it. Not sure if you guys are going to be able to hear it with the heater, but you can kind of hear it going into the vessel, and eventually it'll build up as it sucks out all the air from within the oil pan and clears it out. And then what we're going to do is once all the oil is out, I usually basically charge it up again in order to make sure that there's pressure in there. I slowly loosen this up because there's some residual oil inside the actual container for the filter, because this is where the oil filter sits. And then by doing that, I ensure that I took out all the oil, because there's actually going to be oil inside there that we're going to have to extract as well. So it's kind of, I do a kind of a dual step process where I first extract everything, make sure that the oil, the pressure is gone, and then once that is done, I charge the vessel again and loosen this up to make sure that everything is sucked out from there. So I'll show you guys in a second, and we'll let this thing work for an hour or so, make sure that all the pressure is out, and it'll just keep on sucking out the oil. And that's how you set up the extractor. But this is an air pressurized extractor. You don't actually sit there, you don't actually pump it out like some of the cheaper ones that you can buy for 40 bucks or 50 bucks or 100 bucks. This is sort of a different design. This is an air pressurized extractor that a lot of sort of the shops use, mechanic shops use. And I've been using this for about 1.5 years on all my cars, and I love it. Obviously, except the ones that I can put on the hoist, because I got two lifts, right? I got a mid-size lift and I have a 4-post lift that the cars sit on. The GS I like to do on this lift, and the EK I like to do on the 4-post. It just makes it easier. But for the V-dubs and stuff like that, it's really easy using an extractor. So I highly recommend you guys do this. The extractor itself is about 300 bucks Canadian or so. But literally within 5 or 6 or 7 oil changes, it'll pay for itself. So it's definitely a best bang for the buck. So as you guys can see, it's actually pulling the oil. It's doing its thing. It's kind of neat. So we'll let this thing do its work and pull the oil out, and then we'll be able to do an oil change with a new fresh filter and new liquid moly stuff, and bada bing bada boom. So this is the second time I'm pressurizing this vessel. It's getting the air from the main shop compressor right there. Now it's triggered. I'm going to do that because I want to get the residual oil that's in here. I loosen this up. So this is could be moved by hand now. I loosen this up because I want to make sure that all the air from within there, from within the oil holder, is also removed. So I close this off. I'm pressurizing this which I think is already done. So I'm gonna close off the air supply, and I'll pull out the last remaining oil bits from within the oil housing. Close this off, open this off again, trying to get the last remaining bits and pieces of oil out. So as you guys can see, it's actually siphoning it out very, very fast now, because there's not a lot of oil left inside the actual oil pan. So it's just basically getting all the remnants of oil out that are there, so I can safely then remove the oil filter housing and replace the oil filter. So we're gonna get right to the edge or the end. Basically, as you guys can see, the oil path is a lot clearer because most of it is out. And when it gets to zero, that's when I'll know that it's safe for me to remove the housing and remove the oil filter. So now it's almost at a zero. We'll wait another maybe 10 seconds, and I'll remove the oil filter housing. To remove the oil filter housing, it is a 32 millimeter oil housing nut. It's kind of like that, or a tool that I bought. It's a bit dirty. I gotta clean it off, but it's a 32 millimeter, and this goes directly over the housing bolt right here, and allows you to sort of remove it. You do need to torque it, because there is a torque spec on top of the actual housing. I believe the torque spec is written here, and it is 25. What is it on here? I think, let me reach in. 25 plus 5 nanometers. So you're going to torque it to 25, and then you're going to change your torque wrench to 5, and you're going to give an additional 5. Some people do it by hand. I like to do it using a torque wrench, just so we get a good torque spec on it. But I'm just going to put on some gloves and remove the actual housing and change the filter. So I'm going to unscrew this. Let's move this out of the way. I don't think I will need this anymore because all the oil is gone, so I can probably remove that out of the way as well too. So let me remove that first. This is one of the reasons why I had the extractor go the second time, is because, as you guys can see, once I remove the housing with a filter, there's no oil in there. This is basically what's left over. So that's the reason why you want to sort of do like a dual, way of getting rid of or extracting the oil twice, because that will also ensure that any of the oil that's sitting inside the reservoir is very minimal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the oil filter. So this is the housing right here. This is the oil filter that's right here, and the man filter kit comes with an O-ring, and that O-ring sits over here. Right, it's a gasket. That O-ring sits over there in order to seal the whole housing. Guys got to be very careful that these threads are nice and clean. There isn't any debris in there, because you don't want to cross thread this when you put it back on. So it's very, very important. As well as this is removed. The best way to remove that is using one of these guys. I like to basically get under there, or use an O-ring remover. And what that will do is I'll hook onto it, remove it, and as I remove it, I'm going to use some of the older oil to lubricate the new one and put it in the housing, and then put the new oil in there. So I'm going to do that right now. But in order to hook it, don't use a screwdriver. Use one of these. It's a lot easier to hook it off, and then you're going to hook it off the actual mount. You'll be able to remove it, and while you remove it, take a piece of I used to use shop towels, but they're too expensive. I just use a regular towel, paper towel, like a Downy. Take one from the roll, and then use it to. Anyways, you guys get the idea. Use it to clean the threads before you put in the housing. So I'm going to do that right now and change it with the new filter and put the new O-ring on the filter housing. Basically what I'm doing, guys, is I'm taking the oil from the old filter, just a little bit here. This is a new gasket, and I'm kind of going around it in order to lubricate the gasket. I previously removed the old gasket that sits here using the pick that I showed you guys in a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go around it like that in order to make sure that the O-ring sits in the groove of the housing. This is the old filter, so I haven't removed it and changed it yet, but I'm just basically using a little bit of a dab with the oil in order to go around it to make sure that this O-ring is lubricated and make sure that there is no debris. I'm kind of going around with my glove and ensuring that there's no debris. I can just feel the O-ring. I'm going to pop this old filter out of here. I'm going to sort of drain the oil out. Make sure it's out. You can still use a little bit to go around. I went around with a paper towel to make sure that these threads are nice and clean, and I'm going to go and I'm going to put the new oil filter in. So I'm going to put the oil filter in. Don't force it too much, it just basically sits like that. Now you're ready to put in. I'm just going to wipe it all around to make sure that there's no large debris. Again, clean the oil filter. Now I'm going to reinsert the housing, put it in, and then tighten it up to 25 and 5 nanometers, and that basically takes care of the oil filter setup. Alright, so I went ahead and I reinserted my housing, and be careful, guys, this is 25 plus 5 Newton meters, not foot-pounds of torque. That's all equivalent to about 18 foot-pounds of torque. So if you're using a torque wrench, if you're around the 20 to 18 foot-pounds, you should be okay. If you have a torque wrench that is able to do Newton meters, even better, but around 18 to 20 foot-pounds of torque should be enough. Don't over tighten in this housing. If for some reason when you guys turn on the engine, once you fill the oil, obviously, and if it starts leaking, then tighten it a tiny little bit more. But if you guys are around the 18 to 20 foot-pounds of torque, you guys should be okay. I've never had any issues. I usually tighten it up to about 20 foot-pounds, and it always works pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up and I'm going to fill it up with oil. First, I'm going to fill it out. The GTI, I believe, requires, let me double check. Okay, so the GTI requires 5.7 liters of oil total. So the best thing to do is put in about 5.5 liters, start up the motor to make sure that everything circulates, and there's obviously no leaks. So that's what we're going to do, and then top it up in order to fill it up to level. So 5.5 liters. I believe the TSI motors, not the GTI motors, require 5.5 total. So you can probably put in about 5.2 liters. Start up the motor oil, start up the engine, and then let it circulate, and then top it up to level. So we're going to put in 5.5 liters on my GTI. I believe the liquid moly is a 5-liter bottle, so we're going to put in the whole 5 liters in, and then we're going to put in a little bit of the top up, which is a liter. So we're going to put in 5, and then I'm going to put in half a liter of that. Start up the motor, and then use the remaining of this bottle to top up to level. So we're going to do that right now. I'm just going to get the funnel. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I put in already 5.5 liters of oil. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to let the oil circulate. I'm going to top it up right there, and I went ahead and I detailed the engine bay because I'm OCD like that. And yeah, it's pretty much, she's going to be ready to go for for the winter season. So I like using the extractor for oil changes because it's a cheap way. Well, not a cheap way, but it definitely pays for itself. So I highly recommend. This is the one I happen to be using just because it's air pressurized. I don't have to sit there and pump it up. So it makes my life a lot easier, as you guys have seen in this video. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that, hopefully this helps you guys out. And a nice, quick, easy way on doing your oil changes at home using an extractor. Hopefully you guys like this video. If you do, leave some comments. If not, well, there's not much I could do for you. Hopefully this helps you guys out. All the best. Take care.